Welcome to part 2 of Soul Sparked Radio. And I'm your host, Mr. Renew. So unfortunately, we got cut off on that last episode. It was my own doing. It was my alarm telling me to go do homework. Again, I live a very busy life. But again, anxiety has been in my life. It's because I do a lot and I'm trying to do less because I'm trying to improve the quality of everything, my best. I'm trying to be my great. And I know it takes more than one. It takes a team to be great. Individuals as a sum. And so as we step into this life, we must be hand in hand as we journey through this change of inevitable land. These things will come to a difference. And when these things come to a difference, you should see a change. And in the case of anxiety, I should have something out of my brain into this real world manifesting as something. We call it art, man. This art piece that we see as the creation of all things from you can come from a seed of anxiety. But these things were just from inside of you. And so you get to see a piece of you that normally doesn't reveal itself. And so what I'm trying to say is, before we move into segment 3, you gotta find appreciation for the present moment, your present observations, what you see. But you must remember that you're not a child. So you must document what you see, the patterns, the routine, your triggers, forever and right now. So let's us not forget that we gotta appreciate us right now as we search for a new version of us to prowl all these towns. So let's step into solutions. Let's step into some answers. But before that, just to change the vibe, let's listen to one. We'll let her ride. And so I think that was a great little transitional segment right there, because I just lit some sage, I just lit some incense, and I already feel a change in my mood. Again, we're about to get into the solutions of anxiety. And these solutions come in many forms, but I'm going to give you 3. But before we get to that point, let's get to the in-between. So right now, you should know, based upon what I've told you, is that from segment 2, anxiety is created by you. And that anxiety is created by you projecting on thoughts into the future, or you have sensations in the present moment and you don't act on them, which makes you go into the past. It puts you in a loop where you're sitting on your ass, not doing the things you wish you could. So that energy has to go somewhere, and normally it just revolves in you. Notice I said revolves in you, which means that it wants to come out of you. And depending on how long this energy has been stagnant within your body meat suit, will determine how it comes out, or if it becomes a part of your inner you. It's still an avatar, by the way. It doesn't matter what attaches to you. But what does matter is your conceptualization of what you are. And so if you are in reality, then you understand when we add an omega, now it's our reality. But then if I add a Y, it becomes YO. Now everything changes and it becomes your reality, your dream, your perpetuation of who you are externally. That is the soul sparked. But this soul sparked is seen in what we call multiple lenses of personalities, moods, and feelings. But these things here are indicators. Your triggers. or what used to be a trigger is your nodal point for a new trigger. So what are you saying? We're going to have the same problems that come back over and over and over again until you get off the loop. Solution to your problems. And so right now you understand, before we get to segment 3, that if you are carrying anxiety, you on a loop, a carousel, merry-go-round. You on a track, stuck, running laps back to back, tiring yourself out because this energy has no direction, so it lacks. Everything that you're doing has to be for a purpose. And so my problem was I wasn't doing my purpose. But you know what that set up? You know what that prepared me for? That little bit of separation in between, that space, it makes me long for more. It makes me want more. I've had anxiety to get back on to this microphone and speak to the world, which shows me that this is the solution to my anxiety. It's action. How about that? Chapter verb. Don't talk, just act. Don't promise, just prove. Just be great. You already decided to be excellent. And so I had to remind myself today that I am excellent. I have to learn to separate my accomplishments. Growing up as a kid who never received what he felt to be genuine compliments from the people closest to him, there was always some anxiety, some gold-plated piece of lead. Conductors nonetheless, but that might be over your heads. The idea is that I learned to give, but I also learned to receive negativity quite well. And so many of my young adult life, my late teens, early 20s, I used to always give to anybody. And then I prided myself upon being able to transmute those energies into something positive. So that's kind of something I've been doing for a minute. And so because I've been transmuting negative energies into positives, I know those things quite well. But I'm sick and tired of that shit. And so, dwelling on my belly as a snake, slithering along this world, this life, realized that I was in a garden. I was the most beautiful thing there, and I couldn't see myself. Again, I'm transmuting people's negative energies into positives. And so I'm taking on people's negative shit. And so because I'm taking on people's negativity, my mindset was embedded with negativity. Even though it was for the right reasons, even though it was for a righteous reason, literally removing any hostility within the room eventually made me go kaboom. Realizing that I wasn't the only one required to transmute these energies, but I did it too late. Normally I would get to that point to where all hell broke loose. Wild cow type of state. And that's something that has been going on since I was a kid. You can call it anger issues or what, but I really don't believe so. I'm a very relaxed, chill person. Little too patient in my mind, which is why we get to this third segment. why will the anxiety create a solution? Well, I told you that there are 3 solutions that I was going to give you. The first one is the solution to anxiety is to take action. The reason why is because anxiety is just energy. And so when I decided to take action to speak, that means that all the times that I was a child where I held my tongue, all those times where I did not get an opportunity to speak, maybe if I was pressured too much to say things that didn't vibe with the true me. And so all of those things as a kid, I had to develop and I have to cultivate. I have to allow them time to grow up. I can't just force myself into a position where I want to be because, again, there's a part of me that's not ready for that scenery. Prerequisites. So, knowing that these actions must be taken brings me to solution number 2. Get shit out of your mind and onto paper. Get shit out of your mind and into your feet. You can draw your life with your actions. Let me say it again. You can draw your life with your routine. So, the things that you do, the moves that you make, the pavements that you choose to pave, and maybe even trailblaze, they come from the desire to take action. So, that desire to take action comes from you already taking action. Sol Enspiration. EN, internal inspiration perceived externally. We must understand that the actions we take in our minds lead us to actions we take in our bodies. But that's still nowhere. Anxiety does the same. You can move from your mind to your body, from your body to your mind, and the anxiety still has not been released. So motion does not release anxiety. Actions does not release anxiety. You need more. So you need to have an intention behind that anxiety. In other words, when you write down the actions you want to take and put them on paper, you have to have an intention to accomplish them. Whether that is drinking water, whether that is adding something to your routine, it doesn't matter what you do, but just know that you're fighting for a version that is more supreme. And so something that I've been doing for quite some time is a physical fitness regimen. I call it Level Up. And so that's the first thing I'm going to be introducing on this expansion of who I am. I'm going to introduce to the world Level Up. Now, the idea of a level up as our third solution is a routine that will allow you to recognize the changes within your mind, body, and your soul. Mind, body, and soul, because you are creating these things internally. And so when that fourth piece comes externally, that EN, that soul being perceived externally, that is where you will be able to find your own intentions within yourself. And those intentions are the same anxiety-based energies that you were stagnant with, but now that you have flown like a river. That's important because your actions being consistent is what created your anxiety in the first place. Always saying yeah when you want to say no. Doing things because you can, opposed to because you want to or not. Taking on responsibilities because people ask you to. Parents, cousins, friends, colleagues, associates, doesn't matter. What matters is how you feel. And sometimes you just feel like saying no. Sometimes you don't want to talk. But if you go against those things, anxiety will get you and the tomato will start to walk. It will change you. It will become the gangster of your life. It will become something that runs your life in a criminal manner, not authentic. fear-based, survival mode, anxiety. So we don't want to be in that state. And so you are a human, which means you are ever changing. And change is going to also change. It's inevitable. So, the solution of all the solutions is to know that you are the solution. Oh shit. Say that again. What? Wait, what? You mean that if I practice being the solution, then I can be the solution? Ha ha ha. How about that? Doesn't that shit sound crazy? It is crazy. But you know what? That's my crazy ass self, bro. And that self is you. And so if that self can put you in an anxiety-based state, that same self can get you in a supreme state. And I don't know why I'm using the word supreme today. I've really never used that term, but I know that there's a part of me that feels so supreme and is so afraid to come out, and that gives me anxiety this week. But I'm realizing how to recognize that supreme within me externally, which is why I need time. Again, the time will give my inner child and teen and preteen and whatever any other previous me, it'll give them time. But what you can do for yourself is you can speed up time. Again, time is real. Now, I hate that people always say that it's fake, because time is the only thing that does exist. And it's fucking crazy that people think it doesn't exist when it's the only fucking thing that's changing. Sorry for all of those cuss words, but obviously that's been pent up emotions. Those are the things that would give me anxiety because they're utterly not true. Time is literally derived in every single interaction of life. So it might not exist to the universal world, but for you to live, bitch, you gotta have some time. That's what you call birth, and that's what you call death. I digress. The idea is that you need time in order to enact change, because you are a timeless being. Your soul will always exist. You are soul. But the soul doing things is not the same as it being things. This is a noun versus a verb. There's a point in time where a verb does become a noun and vice versa. We call it a state of being. But there's a lot of levels to a noun that comes way before that. And there is a primary focus on a verb that comes before it being anything. But both of those, noun and verb, when they do become states of being, they do become these things after a period of time, cycles, patterns, routines. So the longer you can keep yourself on a positive, healthy routine, will be more understanding to your child within that you are the supreme adult being that can save the day. Help that inner child mature today. So, let's go ahead and recap. As my students would say, no cap. So, we must understand that we are the solution. And so, the solution, number one, is to take action. I have to take action. Number two, I have to take action externally from me, aka write what I want on a piece of paper. The paper is not me, but my wants, my dreams, my desires, my goals, my needs too, my to-do list, everything that is in me is on that piece of paper now. Avatar. Whoa. Now I can put this piece of paper on the wall, and now I can see me on my wall. So do I have to think about that? Not at all. And so this is the same concept that a lot of people already talk about. This same concept here is simply called a vision board. But this is not a vision. You're not putting visuals on here. These are instructions to rewrite the subconscious mind with words. For instance, I'm looking at one of my many placed wallpapers. I'm looking at one of these right now. And so this one here is called Minds to Focus On. So I have 5 categories. I'm looking at what's mine, but I don't spell mind as in M-I-N-E. I spell it M-I-N-D-S. So now it becomes what you call a sigil. So I took this idea of what belongs to M-Y, and then I told myself it's just a M-I, something that belongs to me, but translated. So it's very mental. So I'm trying to convince my mind that my mind needs to focus on these things by putting what appears to be an incorrect word, but it's a sigil. So now it is an image that represents something externally. I got a billion different ways to clarify anything that I say. If you ever went to school, this is simply called a variable in math. You can see the X, but you know that X is equal to some number. So that means it has to have 2 meanings, what it looked like and what you interpret it as. Again, I got plenty of fucking examples for this shit. This is simply what you call descriptive statistics or inferential statistics. I'm gonna forever use education because that's the only thing that tries to break down life and then fucking regurgitate it. I don't know why people don't like to learn shit. Anything that you do in the world, you're learning something. So the idea is that everybody's learning. So you should learn how you learn, what you enjoy learning, and then you should go learn it because eventually you'll be a teacher of it. Which brings me to my first priority of things to focus on, which is school. This school thing is my own schooling. So I have to make sure that I have good time management, which is fucking hard when you do a lot, but school is my main idea, my main objective. Why? Because I got some goals, man. I want to get this shit done and out the way so I can open up more time and space. Now, I watched the tarot reading today that talked about consciously manifesting things. Maybe she just does both. But anyways, I watched it and she was talking about asking yourself a question before you manifest something. And so when I put my mind to as to why I decided to go and attempt my 2nd degree, the reason why was because of what we're doing right now. And that shit's crazy because it's not what I thought of then. I joined this program so I could learn to communicate with people. But it's funny because I learned how to communicate. I'm trying to learn how to communicate with people through business. I'm studying to get my MBA. But the idea is that I'm over here talking about how this life has schooled me. And so when I'm looking at the school, I'm looking at these things and I break it down into a 3. My homeworks, my test, and then my readings. This is a master's program, so I gotta do a grip in a little bit of time. But that shit won't stop me because my focus is on what's mine. And so since I put my mind to school, that means that whenever any anxieties come up, I can look at this paper and I can get into my routine, which means that I have time frames associated with these activities. Again, time does not exist for people who don't want to be in the present moment. If I'm in the present moment, time will last fucking forever, eternally. But if I go outside of that eternal state, then boom, I have to have a start and a final, an initial and then an ending. Big bang and whatever else you want to call it. Big crunch, big death, the big loop, whatever. So again, the solution is to be your own solution. And so if I'm my own solution and if I tell myself how to coach myself, then God damn it, why aren't you listening to yourself? If you're not listening to you, why the fuck would you go pay somebody to tell you some shit and you still not fucking listen? Stupid as fuck. But that might be smart to a person who doesn't know that's not intelligent for themselves. Again, you have to look at the inner child and see if that baby in them thinks this way for a reason. Again, if we can look at the child within who thinks that it's okay to go pay for things that you can teach yourself to do, then we have to show that child with time that that's not the way. And this is what life will do. It'll put you into a loop. But in science, loops can be coiled together and then you can induce. These things that induce are called attachments. And you can induce an attachment to anything physically, anything mentally, and then anything spiritually. The easiest thing to detach is anything spiritually, because you can disconnect from your spirit, okay? You can disconnect from your spirit mentally or physically. So being in your spirit means being in harmony with your mind and your body. And so there's a few people who say it quite well, but living in your heart space is the best thing that I can tell. And that's what you should be doing when you put in these papers on your wall. Again, your heart space is you understanding my mind and my body. Again, your own spark is the glue between your mind and your body, which is your heart. That's where your spark lies. It literally is what, I don't want to get too deep, but fuck, it is. It's literally where the spark that lies in your body is held. Literally. You call it your heartbeat. You call it your pulse. These things here are pumping because it was sparked. It was created to do that with an induction. Again, something else had to fucking come and help you get your spark going. Somebody had to ignite your fucking soul. And so that's why I'm so passionate. I don't really give a damn if I'm cursing too much. Again, this stuff has to come out. So there's a part of me that needed to cuss. But again, I'm focusing on those things because there's a child in me who doesn't want to cuss. So again, with time, I'm really trying to help myself understand that it's okay. Back to the story. So the next priority that I have on this list, again, that I'm building a routine around for my own self, a level up routine, is my job. So in my job, there's things that I have to do in routine always. And that means I have to always make sure my lesson plans are straight. If you don't know by now, I haven't figured it out, I'm a school instructor. Now, I say that because, again, I'm over here talking. I consider myself to be an information deliverer. Deliver information in the classroom, out the classroom, personally, on Zoom, through this goddamn phone, on the radio show, and spiritually as well. Anytime I do anything, I'm trying to deliver information. Hence, I used to transmute information into a different form of information. Now, knowing that I have to do these things routinely, I can schedule things into the future to give myself more time right now. Again, time does exist. It is real. It is something that you can permeate through your body with, but your mind can transcend. So mentally, yes, the time does not exist because it is a spatial construct. That's my own point of view. I believe time was created by spaces. In other words, if you have a fixed space called a gymnasium, that space doesn't move. And if I put few people in there, lots of space around, that time will seem like it's ticking on forever because the interactions between everybody within that space. But I promise you, if you put more than capacity in that same space, 5 minutes will fly as if it was a second. And if you're having fun, 2 hours might feel like a minute. Why? Well, because of what you call us, people. The you are with an O, our. This is our environment at that time. It's our time. And so because it's shared, your perception of time does not exist or supersede or become supreme. What does become supreme is your interpretation or your inferential analysis of the situation. When you can infer that the time is flying because I'm having fun, then you can understand that you are not sensing the ticking of time. Because you don't sense it, you think it's an illusion. So because this is not an illusion, because it actually exists, you can sense it, you can feel it, we have to understand routine. If you can build a routine upon how you sense things, how you observe your own triggers, how you can analyze situations before you get to those situations, if you can notice patterns and trends, these are the things that you should do when you are putting your thoughts, your feelings, your goals onto a piece of paper. And then when you put that piece of paper on your wall, and then you level up every day. To level up every day is to make this time not exist. But because things are dragging, because things are slow, because you are in a space all alone, an island, drifting on these cosmic waves of ebbs and flows, you must attract to you the things that are needed of you. That is some bullshit, but it's the truth. You attract the things to you that you need to help. And that's some bullshit. Damn, I said that twice as if I didn't even mention it the first time. Something in me thinks that's some bullshit, but I know it's the truth. So again, this is what I'm trying to teach you that the anxiety will do. I'm literally on this mic telling you that these things here are necessary. That means I was a good listener. I've paid attention to all these online coaches. I've paid attention to my own coaches in my own life. I'm listening. But that doesn't mean my body and the inner me's are ready for that shit. Again, I need time. So the idea of the level up is to make time change. And to make time change means you have to understand the patterns that you claim. And these patterns that you claim to do, whether they're mentally, physically, or spiritually, they are the things that give you a foundation. And this foundation is your toolbox. This foundation are your solutions. This foundation is of what you do for your mind, what you do for your body, and what you do for your soul. These things are solutions to your anxieties, whether that's physical anxiety, meaning you being into a place and you get anxious or you get nervous or any of those situations, or if you're making up thoughts and things in your head outside of this time frame. Either way, you can also get a third way of anxiety, which is typically understood as, empathy. When you're empathetic, you can feel shit around you again. And sometimes you might become paranoid because you're feeling everyone else's anxiety. So it takes you needing to know that you can provide yourself with a tool to transmute that energy around you, at least outside of your avatar space. Again, protect your energy is, I think that's what they call it. Putting boundaries up, what the fuck ever. I don't really care what words you use to describe this characteristic. This force is just an action, it's a verb. Just because I named it an action called force doesn't mean that it calls itself force. So we have to know that the soul does not adhere to the same rules as the mind and the body. So you might have to do things in routine to satisfy your soul that might directly contradict what you're doing for your mind and for your body. That shit's hard. Which is why you need to see you on a fucking piece of paper on your wall, never changing, and then you will realize that it's not that hard because the paper doesn't change. But you can scratch shit off and check things, and that can change. And so you can progress mentally, and then you can progress physically. And then your soul can reflect on all of these progressions, although it may be tired or inspired. You can see that these things here have not changed, but I have. So I must be the solution to that change that has occurred. If it already occurred, that means it's time. Past tense on this rhyme. But anyways, I digress. I got a few more things on this that I want to do. My job, my school, I want to work on management itself. Management of just me managing myself. Again, I have to go and get professional development is what we'll call it if this is a job, PD. I also want to work on my website. Again, that's been hard because I've been trying to build websites for other motherfuckers and shit, and they not even helping with doing this shit that I want. So I got to do it for me. Why would I stress over those things if I can't do it for them? Why would I try to do it for them? And then if I can't do it for me, why would I skip myself to go do it for them? Again, these are behaviors and habits that probably was established in me as a child. And I know they was. I don't want to get too deep on like some of these spiritual foundations that I have. I'll save that for another segment. But I want to be able to be comfortable expressing myself, but I know that won't ever happen. I'm not built that way. But I know I can be confident in the expression of myself even when it does not come out all the time because I'm sure of what I say. So just because I ain't talking doesn't mean I'm not looking, listening, or thinking, or doing anything else. Communication is more than verbal. So because I now understand as an adult man, I'm not fucking 20 no more. I'm not 10, 5, nigga is 30. And so because that is understood within me, I'm not going to sit around doing the same things that I did when I was a young man. That doesn't work for my situation, which is why my management skills must change. I'm not in an undergrad college no more, working as many jobs as I could, being in the fraternity and partying and stuff. No. I'm now in college still, but I have little ones to look after. And it's not just my students, it's all those students. It's my neighborhood. It's my gym. It's me riding my bike throughout neighborhoods just so people can see. And they see a soul that has been sparked because I love doing these things. But the problem is that I haven't gotten comfortable with being uncomfortable during transitions. In other words, because of the anxiety coming up, like I get uncomfortable. And so I try to search for things and I see the split in myself. I see me trying to do old shit, the 20-year-old me coping mechanisms, and then I see me trying to step into my 40-year-old coping mechanisms. I'm not 40. So I'm in a space in between. I am the space in between. And I can either spiral downward, centrifugal, or I can go forward in time, centripetal. Again, I'm using these terms because they're showing you, I'm trying to show you that your education system has words and terms that you can study for your own spiritual, mental, and physical health. And if you can balance those things in your mental space, then you can balance those things in your action space, and you can balance those things in your heart space, and you can balance those things in your time space. Yeah, pay attention real quick. I'm about to show you all this time tick shit. I'm about to go and be the grandfather clock. I'm about to show you what I got. Saturn up in this bitch. I got my third house in Saturn. Oops, I meant to say my Saturn is third house. Or should I say it's Capricorn, Saturn ruler in my third house. And then I also have a stellium in there. That is a group of planets, up in the same space. That means they got a group of people, heavy emphasis, upon this place. So what does that mean? I got a major planet in there too. I got a Capricorn moon. in my third house. So I'm always expressing these emotional moves. And that's what I'm doing here today. I got cut off on my first episode at like 30 minutes or something. And then this one here is like 40 minutes or something. And so to me, talking ain't no thing. I'll talk all day, which is why the last thing I want on my minds to focus on is a podcast, which Soul Spark has been created. It's a radio show, podcast, whatever you want to call it. It's a medium. It's here. I can do it. So what that means is I've seen myself go from when I wrote this in December. When I wrote this shit in December, I can now look back at March and say, oh, I've done a lot of these things. Oh, I can go back and check off things. I can go back and adjust things, which is the most important thing. I'm going to save it for the next episode, but adjustments is key. Let me give you a quick example. Since I'm new to being free, since I'm new to being detached from any of my previous attachments, I'm in this null space. Null, statistical null, okay? And so since I'm in this null space, I'm in a waiting period. And so I'm waiting for me to catch up to me because I don't want to progress in the future while I'm leaving parts of me behind. Again, there's parts of me that I want to take in the future that don't belong to me. We call it baggage. And so I'd rather throw the baggage out and wait for the me to come and replace that trash. And so we need time. And so again, the time frames that we're trying to establish here, it comes from you establishing a start point and then you establishing a final point, an end point. Routine, patterns, cycles. So as I'm trying to progress myself through what I want to focus on, I can go back and I can assess what works and what doesn't. So let's jump into a whole new segment real quick. Bonus, I've been doing what I call 12 months of 30 days. And so what that means is I choose one different thing to focus on every month for 30 days. Now I already know that every month doesn't have 30 days, but fuck, you do your math, homie. Okay? So because of that, I got 360 days, a fucking circle. Surprise. 12 months, 12 segments in a circle, 360 degrees, full lap, one loop. But anyways, these things come together. And so as they come together in this segment time, I know that after all of these different segments of 12 months, that I could have done at least something for 30 days. And so the first thing I did was 5 fucking things at once. How about that? So I tried to do a few things for my progressive self, and I tried to do a few things for my regressive self. And so I cut habits, but I always live by what I've been doing for myself, which is the transmuted energy. And so this is the replacement strategy. Do not kick something out of your life without bringing something to replace it. Do not cut off a cord if you can't grab a hold to another one. Don't do that shit because you won't even be able to do number 2. As you're removing the things from your life that regress you, and as you add the things in your life that progress you, you got to understand that gratitude is needed in every action. And so if you cut your fucking drinking off because you hate that you are drunk, or you hate what it does to your relationship with your family, or if you hate what it does for you when you're around people, or if you hate how it impacts your job or whatever. If you don't like drinking and you cut that shit off as if it was something bad, you still got bad energy. You didn't find an appreciation. You're going to build anxiety in your own heart space because you were rude to some shit that's been helping you. There's a reason why you've been going to that goddamn bottle. It's not because of the motherfucking stresses of today. It's because Some child in you doesn't know anything else. And again, it's not the child drinking, it's you drinking because you can't help that little kid in you. So you have to give gratitude to why alcohol is in your life. So if you have coping issues, then the bottle never ever denies you. Hell no. The bottle makes you feel great. God damn it, a 6-pack will just take all your worries away. Whoo, take a shot, man, I feel good. I got the courage, let's go out and party. That's a very intimate relationship. And so because that relationship is so goddamn intimate, it will be so harmful of you to just cut it off as if it never helped you at all. This is how I used to feel when I would help people. I used to think that I was cursed, man. I used to think that any girl who used to date me would soon after find their husband, the man of their dreams. And so I thought that so much, that shit started to happen. And you know what? All that shit did was just show me I need to stop saying and thinking certain things because I'm seeing it come in my life. And so once I started to cut out some of those things, it made me realize that I was limited. I was limited on the things that I can remove out of my life because I didn't have the time to understand why it helped me in my life. And because I didn't know why it was here helping me, I didn't know why it needed to go. And because I didn't know why it needed to go, I gave it a reason to stay. So the idea is to see how we can find gratitude even for the things in us that we don't appreciate any longer, because time is change and change is inevitable. We know that we're moving from where we were into where we want to be. Maybe. But the idea is you've had a routine of change this entire time. And so if you treat level up as the solutionary change to whatever situation you have that's creating anxiety, then what you can do now is appreciate that you can already move. And once you can think you can move, then your feet believe you can move. And when you actually move your feet and you see your think externally to your own self, aka that piece of paper on the wall, then you can come back to that piece of paper and say, yeah, I used to do that, and now I don't. You can look at your board of 12 months of 30 days, and you can say, wow, I moved for 30 days straight. Wow, I drank 2 drinks of smoothies a day for 30 days. Wow, I took my CBD for 30 fucking days. Wow, I leveled up my physical body routine for 30 days. Wow, I did a lap every day for 30 days. You gotta understand that will inspire you. But let me give you a little tip. Once I hit that goal in January, February came around and my workload became heavier, and then my online work became heavier, and then my schoolwork got heavy, and then again, I'm still removing things from my life. I did not even fucking write down any 20 or 30 days. I had my goals that I wanted to do. Man, I literally did like fucking, I achieved maybe 5 or 7 or something like that. 7 days out of the 30. And you know what? I didn't even feel bad. How the fuck can I feel bad about me not doing a routine when a nigga just added like 6 extra things to the plate? Well, shit, didn't I just tell you that you should replace things? And so, naturally, the universe replaced it for me. He said, oh, well, nigga, you doing extra shit at work. You got a hard-ass class. You got to do extra tutoring and things. Nah, nigga, you can't just go and run every day. No. Take your ass to bed. Go fucking do some yoga. Nah. Go breathe. So, that was the last one. I've been doing deep breathing meditations for quite some time now. And now I make my students do Wim Hof breathing. Again, deep breathing, get them young, build a habit young. With time, it'll be a pattern that they can use and develop for their own toolbox. So, knowing that these things do change with time, I'm about to get out of here because it's been quite some time of me explaining how anxiety ruled a couple of days of this week, and then how I had to go into a deep space of my own self. And I did. I found that. I did hella meditations for the last couple of days. So much Wim Hof, just breathing, and I'm still going to bed at like 2 in the fucking morning and shit. Waking up at 5 just so I can do my goddamn level up morning routine. But that's beautiful to me because every goddamn morning I get happy because no matter if I'm tired, when I start doing my goddamn Wim Hof, my body and soul is energized and I don't even have to leave my bed. I just gotta turn over, cut my alarm off, and cut my Wim Hof on. And again, it gives me more energy than I ever would have thought. And who would have thought to warm up your lungs for the day? Old motherfuckers got creaks in their knees and they hurt backs and shit, broken hips, side ankles, whatever. And they have to take the time to warm up their physical body. But not many people take the time to warm up their breathing patterns. And your breathing is where your soul lies. It lies in the breath. It means it keeps your mind calm and it keeps your body going. So go ahead and try that. Google search, YouTube. Well, it'll probably pop up one and the same because Google owns YouTube. But YouTube, Wim Hof. No matter what country you in, this dude got like a few different sessions in a few different languages. But the one I recommend is 11 minutes long. Again, time exists. You can dedicate 11 minutes to you healing yourself, warming up your breathing, getting your intention set. You can do that for 11 minutes and no more. You can take all the time, the 24 hours in this day, and you can minus 11 minutes. And you can change your world with that 11. So I wish you the best of luck. Thank you for listening.